going. Whew. Our recording is in progress. How's everybody doing tonight? What's on anybody's mind? What's going on?
Well, busy work.
Yeah.
I actually listened to one of your podcasts when I was walking this evening.
Oh, nice. Which one?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
It was an interview with
Robert
Ryapel. Yes.
Yes. And
it was very good. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So funny because he used to be a Domino's Pizza franchisee, just like
you had a connection
back in Salisbury, but we didn't even know that until we started recording the podcast, and he told me that was part of his story. It was just so funny. But yeah, that was a great, I like his work very much. I enjoyed doing that interview. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? What's up with you, Leslie? I haven't seen you in a while. We've been missing you.
Just insane busy.
Yeah, work stuff.
I hate that word, but
yeah.
It is. It's got a poor connotation, right? But sometimes it's just accurate.
Yeah.
Here comes Joyce. Oh my gosh, this is our biggest cocktails and coaching yet. Yay. It's getting everybody into the new platform that's so hard, because coming off of Facebook. So hey, Joyce. We can't see you yet, but we'll assume you. There you are. There you are. You can unmute. There you go.
No, I tried to get in from your link on the email and it doesn't work.
Oh, on the email. Really?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll go double check that. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I went to Facebook.
Good. Okay. Okay. Oh, well, that's good to know. I'll check the one. Something must have broken on the one in the email.
Mine worked.
I'm just glad you're here. Okay. Good. Good.
Mine worked on the email.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, so let's start with gratitude. I have to get my water. What is everybody grateful for tonight?
Cooler weather.
Yeah.
Cooler weather in North Carolina.
Has it been super hot there?
It's been super hot and humid, and we've had 2 really great days. So my commitment to walking has not been so hard.
Yes. Yes. Great. Great. What else?
I guess I would probably say all the crazy buyers out there.
Yeah.
It's a win for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. More deals under contract, right?
Yep.
Good. Good.
I'm grateful that we're gonna get to see some family this weekend from the East Coast.
Yeah, super exciting. Scott and his girlfriend, I'm sure soon fiance, are coming. They got to San Francisco today, and they're coming down here to Huntington Beach to see us on Sunday. So
Good.
We're gonna have a nice family day. Have everybody but Miranda and Brian, and I guess Doug, Alyssa's husband, got to go see his mom because she got hurt. But anyway, it's always nice to have a group of your kids in one place.
It is.
Yeah, that's cool. How about you, Joyce?
I am grateful that I'm vaccinated.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
Totally. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you guys want me to just riff on something, or do you want to bring up a topic?
I think we should riff.
It's a free for all. Is it a free for all for me? I have been really struck. I mean, I think it was last week, Joyce, wasn't it, that we were talking about anger? I think last week.
I wasn't here last week.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've got my weeks and my people. But
yeah.
I think it was because I listened to it afterwards.
Okay.
I was not here.
Okay. All right.
You talked about anger.
Okay. So connecting to that, because there's so many healthy things about anger, and anger typically, especially for people pleasers, gets really gets a bad rap, because it upsets other people and all the things that go against being a people pleaser. And so I was just talking about how it's such a healthy indicator of a boundary or something we need changed. Like, to me, that's what anger is really about. It's my own signal that I need something to be different. Whether it's that I need to say no to something or say yes to something or tell a person I can't do something, or, like whatever it is, I need to spend more time in self-care. I know I had a spot, I can't remember, it was Sunday. It was Sunday because I took Friday off. My daughter Alyssa was down. Josie, my granddaughter, was in camp, and so we got to have a girls' day at the pool. And then I went out with Eric and Lee Friday night. We had a great time. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. Anyway, so Friday I, took off and had a great time, but I hadn't gotten all my work done, so I needed to work most of the day Saturday. So I worked Saturday, and then had some fun Saturday night again with Eric and Lee, and then Sunday I just felt, I don't know, angry is not the right word, but I felt very sort of that feeling that we tend to use the word overwhelm with, just like it's too much. I had nothing to do on Sunday. I had the whole day to myself. Okay. I have no chores because I do my chores during the week. I hate to have chores on the weekend. I have the whole day to myself to do anything I want. And everything just felt so heavy. And just like, even if I thought about the week ahead, it's just like, oh, I can't, out. I'm just out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what in the world? So now when I feel like that, it makes me look inward and ask myself, okay, what is it? What do I need? I must need something that I'm not getting. And that's why I'm out of sorts about it, And so I realized, now some of you guys might laugh, or you might relate, or you might do both. But I moved less than a month ago. I moved in on July 10th. So it's not August 10th. However many weeks, it's not been a month yet. Okay. And then right after I moved, I went away for 3 days to a business retreat that I wanted to go to, my choice, but it's still travel, and my flights got delayed, and it was a whole drama, And I came back, and then I was behind on a bunch of work that I have to do for a side hustle that I do that's billable hours. So I have to do 20 hours a week no matter what. So if I get behind 1 week, I got to do, 30 hours the next week. So I was behind, and I had all this work I needed to make up. And so I was just like, oh, well, I bet what's wrong is that I have told myself I should have recovered by now from my move, and I shouldn't be tired, and I shouldn't, I'm not, and I'm telling myself, of course, I don't know if any of you can relate. I'm pretty sure I can call Lee out on this, in love. I'm also telling myself I'm not doing enough, right? I'm not working hard enough. I'm not, and it was just like, fucking stop it. Like, you're working enough, you're doing that. And I'm like, I have to give, because if I was coaching me, any of you, if you were coaching with me and you were my client and you brought those things to me, I would be like, well, for goodness sakes, of course you haven't recovered because you moved. You didn't take 1 day off work to move, you just kept running the whole time. All this, the travel, all the things. Of course you haven't had time for your body and your soul to adjust, even though you've taken some weekends off. It's like if I take 2 whole days off in a week, I'm somehow cheating or being, really, lazy. And so we live in such a culture, and especially, 3 out of 4 of us right here, 5 of us, 4 out of 5 of us are in real estate. Now, Lee, for the not real estate one, has a super high level job in fucking PR. Like, her job isn't easy, you know, lots of pressure, lots of stress. And so we get into such a mental mind fuck of it's never enough. Like we just got to work harder, keep doing more, just one more thing, one more hour, one more, you know, something. And we just keep driving ourselves. So who can relate to that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, all right. You're on the wrong call. You don't know how this happened.
Oh, no. I thought this was like a family Zoom.
The rest of the kids. Yeah. So.
No, 100%, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, because you think there's like a fallacy in your mind where you think like, well, if I can just get to the end of this list, then tomorrow I can relax, or then next week will be easier. But the list just like it's infinite. It's like it's like a quicksand. Like you just get sucked in.
Yeah.
If you get close to the end of the list, you add some more to it.
Yeah,
that's
because
right.
You don't want to ever have a list with nothing on it.
That's right.
So
Yeah, because then what would happen?
Let me add 3 more things in here because I can do it.
That's right. That's
you
right.
things on your list that are never done, like laundry and dishes and cooking.
Right, because you're gonna wear clothes again and eat again, so that'll just
unfortunately that would be the dream if we could just find like a week to just not. I don't know how that would work, but a week off from eating and
changing our clothes.
It would get really stinky, but
you should put that on Eric's list.
Yeah.
Just move it over to his list.
Yeah, it's so true. And so no wonder we get burned out, you know, no wonder. It's very similar actually to a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this one. I'm sure you were on, Marie, we were talking about energy leaks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
Interestingly enough, I recorded a podcast today with another coach that is a friend of mine, and she brought it up on there. So we're talking about it again in a future podcast episode. But when we do things like that, where it's just never enough, and there's always one more thing on our list, it's like that energy leak thing where because you're right, Lee, we have a story we tell ourselves that when this happens, then that, right? Fill in any blanks you want. When my kids are grown, I'm going to have freedom. When, you know, the kids are grown, I'm leaving my spouse, like whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. But like some condition, as soon as I have this much money in the bank, then I'm going to let myself slow down or let myself retire or let that be, you know, whatever. Only that much money gets in the bank. And then, but really, if I had some more, I should really go, you know, and it's just like the list, it just gets added onto. Because I think by nature, the silver lining here is that by nature, just like nature, we are meant to grow. We're meant to have to want more in that sense. Like a blade of grass doesn't just stop when it's this long. Wouldn't that save a lot of mowers a lot of time? It by its nature, it's gonna grow. It's just, that's what it does. It grows, it gets longer. And so there's this positive part where we have this natural proclivity to how can I be more? How can, you know, life be better? These infinite possibilities. How can I, you know, be part of that? But the sort of dark side of it from our conditioning and our culture is simultaneously, so where you are is never good enough. Instead of just more is more, but the blade of grass is only this long, like there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like it starts that long and then it grows more. It starts littler than that. And so like if we can look at children as a metaphor, or puppies or whatever, when they're little, we don't think there's something wrong with them because they can't walk or they can't, you know, pee outside or whatever. The dogs, not the kids. But they're going to keep becoming more right? Their list, so to speak, will never end, but there's not a story around, so that's not good enough, so we can't have fun, so we can't take a break, so we're going to stop these other things until they're 3.
Mhm.
You know, once they're 3 or they have their first tooth, we're not going to eat until they have a tooth, you know. What's the point? They can't chew, you know, whatever. So it's this combination of the gift of our natural tendency to growing and wanting more, combined with the unhealthy story of it's not enough, which is basically a scarcity story, really, whether you're talking about money or time or anything else. It's a scarcity story. I'm going to run out, you know, there won't be enough, I can't stop. So how does that resonate for everybody? Made Leslie want to go off video. Listen, you go off video, I make fun of you. That's what happens on Cocktails and Coaching. No, I'm just giving
Now
you
I realize I was muted. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, I mean, I'm going through like a little bit myself is, and this isn't a brag thing or anything like that, but like it's me and an assistant, and I'm approaching 24 million in real estate for the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm busy.
Yeah.
And you know, and right now, you know, Ryan is kind of, he decided, you know, hey, I think I'm going to switch jobs in the middle of all of this.
Your
Oh
husband.
my God.
Yeah. And now, you know, I also have, you know, 2 kids, and, you know, I decided in the middle of all of this, you know, let's paint the porch, let's get another dog. Like, I mean, it's like, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
But then there's also like, it's never good enough for me. I always want something more.
Yeah. So I think the trick, I mean, you just made my point exactly. I think the trick is there's nothing wrong with the always wanting more. The trick is not, the stress comes from usually more from self-criticism in some way than the actual things that need to be done.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, Leslie, because I don't know. There's some kind of inner dialogue that you have that whatever, the pace of it or the this or that isn't the way it should be, or, you know, you're not something enough. And so that's why it feels hard, or something that isn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're at work and you're making money and all this other stuff, and you know, and it's almost like you're like guilt tripping, being raised Catholic, you're guilt tripping yourself into the, oh, you know, these people, those people, the Joneses are spending time with their kids at the beach, and you know, that's something that I should be doing.
Yes.
That actually just pisses me myself. I just get pissed off at myself because I'm like, all right, now you need to calm down. They went with 22 of their family members. Like, I just, yeah.
Well, because the story has, so it pisses you off. So great example also of the anger thing. It pisses you off because that story, that thought of I should be doing that, you know, taking my kids to the beach or fill in your blank for whatever.
Yeah, because not all of us live there.
True. It isn't true. And that's why there's that other part of you that gets mad about it, because it's like, wait a minute, this is not even true. I just because other people are doing that doesn't mean that's what I need to do. Like, what we say so much stuff to ourselves that is not true.
Right.
Anybody with me on that?
Right. Yes.
You know, we make up stories about what other people are thinking about me. I mean, this client I just finished with, we talked about that so much. She's like, why am I so worried about what everybody's thinking about me? Like, intellectually, she knows that's not helping her, but that's why people get coaching, because they need to get from that. Intellectually, I get this is a disconnect, but I'm doing it all the time. You know, so now how do we get beneath? Because I think I had a first appointment today with a new client, and that was redundant, but anyway. She was asking me the difference between a coach and a therapist, which I always think is a great question. Yeah.
A good question.
Yeah, I get this fairly frequently. And so my comparison, my sort of metaphor for it is it's the difference between when a person needs either a doctor or maybe a physical therapist. You know, they've got a wound, they've got, you know, something injured, but they need somebody to, you know, to heal, to give them the, you know, whatever to repair that muscle, okay, or whatever's been torn or broken or whatever, okay. Then, but a personal trainer takes the person who's healthy, like my body's healthy, I'm fine, but I want to be able to run a marathon and I can't run, you know, jog around the block right now. So help me get from where I am to where I want to go. Most people, when they get into coaching, they have some idea of something they want that they don't have. Whether it's something tangible, like they want to start a business, or they want to, you know, they have some big dream, ambition they want to do, and they can't seem to get themselves, you know, to do it. Or it could be, you know, I want to set boundaries. It could be less tangible. It could be something like that. Like I want to learn how to set boundaries and not, you know, do so much people pleasing in my life. They've got some idea of something they want that they know there's a disconnect. Okay. At least people who work with me, because I'm not in the business of enlightening you about what you need to change. Like that's not my thing. I'm like, if you know you want something changed, I can help you change that. Okay. But I don't, you know, I don't care about turning on the light for you and that. So the person who goes to the personal trainer knows they want to go run that marathon, but they also know they don't really have all the tools and skills it would take to get there. And so they go to the personal trainer to get there and to get those skills and to have somebody to give them that feedback and, you know, tweak this, do that, you know, whatever. And don't go too far too fast so that you will never want to run again, you know, right? You don't go from jogging around the block to running 5 miles and then be mad at yourself because you couldn't make it, right? There's because a personal trainer does a lot of mindset work too. So when I'm working with a person, we do a lot of mindset stuff because our minds fuck with us so much. But there's more than that because it takes more than that to run a marathon. It's not just Eric run marathons in the background there. And so he can tell you it's a lot of mindset, but it's not just mindset. You got to get your body ready for it too. You know, so for us in our journey, the equivalent to that is what's happening in our subconscious compared to what's happening in our conscious world. So it's your conscious mind that's going, Leslie, why are you thinking that? Why are you doing that? But unconsciously or subconsciously, you've had such a habit of that kind of thought that it happens before you think about it, right? You don't plan to have that thought. It just pops in your head.
Right. I mean, just like with coaching, like right now, like I want to start it because I know you have this great thing going on. But it's like, how the hell are you going to fit that into your schedule?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, I know that she's going to hold me accountable.
Oh, well, who wants that? Don't do that. Don't sign me up for that.
Well,
yeah. So but that's a great example because it's something that you're even saying to yourself. So this wasn't meant to be a sales pitch, but you're even saying to yourself, I would benefit from coaching with Brenda.
Yeah.
And now let me tell myself why I'm not going to do that. Right? I don't have the time for that. You know, lots of people, I don't have the money for that. But even if they're not, some people couldn't care less about the money. It's the time, or it's the subconscious fear that you just articulated beautifully of being held accountable. And not because I give people homework they have to do by next Friday, but because anytime you're showing up in relationship with another person, there's an accountability there, right? There's like, okay, well, we're working towards something, so let's keep working towards it. not decide it doesn't matter anymore. If you come to me in 2 weeks and say, nope, I just decided I don't care about marathons. Now my goal is to be a couch potato. I might be like, well, before we stop working together, why don't we talk about that and see where that's coming from? Because in all truthfulness, if you decide you want to be a couch potato, like for me as a coach, it may make my metaphor break down. So let's just go with me being a coach. I don't have an agenda for a client. What I said today that I actually really liked, I should write it down, is if I have an agenda for a client, it is that they get to know their authentic self, This is the part of us that is our truest nature, that has all the power, can set the boundaries, is not self-critical, is very self-compassionate, self-loving, that drives us towards the best things in our lives, that you get to know that person better and get to where you can then make your outer life reflect what that authentic self knows, loves, and wants for herself. And that's really where we can call it all. I call it people pleasers. I do this and that. You guys have all heard my stuff. We can call it whatever we want, but that's it. All I'm doing for every person who coaches with me, given their specific scenario, the specific things they want, whether they want to run a marathon, set boundaries, change jobs, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just taking them into their authentic self, because your authentic self knows. She knows when to say no. She knows when to say yes. She knows how to take care of herself, but she hasn't been sort of encouraged, or that hasn't been the pattern. Because if that was the pattern of your life, that's what would be in your subconscious. All our subconscious is the stuff we've done over and over and over and over until we don't have to think about it anymore. It just pops up, right? You don't go in your bathroom and wonder what to do with a toothbrush every day. Because you've done it so many times, you don't have to think about it. It's how we drive someplace we've driven a million times, and you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember being on the roads that got me here. Like I know how I came here, but I don't actually remember it because I've done it so many times. It's so deep in your subconscious, you can perform the task perfectly well and give it no conscious thought. Okay. And so that's what all this conditioning is, all this, do for others first, put yourself last, don't rock the boat, all the stuff we've been conditioned to do. We've just done that. All the self-criticism, all the shame, all the guilt. Leslie, that is such a hot button for me because Baptists, Catholics, Jews, whatever, we all have lots of guilt. Everybody has guilt. They just label it their own version of it. And so how do you really free yourself from guilt? Well, that authentic self, she's not feeling guilty, but we have all been so habituated into feeling guilt that is so deep in our subconscious. It's no different than brushing our teeth. We just do it every day. We just do it. And so it takes a force, I'll say, it's very intentional to get into coaching and say, no, wait a minute. I want to stop doing this. I want to stop the wheel from turning this way, get it to stop, and then get it to actually go another way so that I can say no to somebody, or I can say yes to something. I can say yes to wanting to be a millionaire. I can say yes to whatever, and I don't feel any guilt over it because that's in alignment with the truth of who I am. And so there's no guilt when we're in alignment once we get rid of all that conditioning that taught us to be guilty about who we truly are. Woo, I feel like I just preached a sermon.
Ooh.
So maybe
it's good though. It's good.
Maybe I should get off my soapbox here. But obviously I'm just very passionate about this whole process because I've done it myself. It's not like I've not done whatever I'm saying for anybody else to do. I mean, our stories are different, but what's behind it and how we get from where we are to where we want to be is really very similar. Who wants to chime in on that? Yes, Lee, I see your hand. How nice of you to raise your hand.
I will chime in and share my experience, which is not the same as everybody's. However, as someone who's gone through coaching, not with Brenda, because that would be a conflict of interest, and I don't pay her as her daughter-in-law. I'm like, hey, can you help me out?
She gets the free stuff. Yeah,
I get the free stuff. But I've worked with a coach that went through the same training as Brenda, and then also a therapist as well. And what I will say is that it's kind of about your comment, Leslie, about time. And I definitely felt that. And one thing that I've kind of gained from doing some of these exercises and working through some of these thought patterns is when you can kind of work through them, you'll be amazed at how much more time you feel like you have because your head space is so much clearer. Like, I can't really explain it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, a lot of times when you're kind of like in the thick of things, I feel like your mind is so occupied all the time that even just like simple things feel like it's crazy, because you might be like working with a client, but then you're like on the side, you're like going through the to-do list or what's coming up next or things like that. So yeah, and I think it's kind of a very powerful move when you decide to prioritize yourself, and whether it's time, money, or whatever it is, it'll kind of start to signal a shift, and you'll feel really empowered even though the work is hard.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And I so respect the time, because you have very demanding jobs. You always have, and there's so much. Lee has really dedicated herself in the last, I don't know what it's been, at least year or so or two, I don't know.
Yeah.
In her own self-care and healing, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And I think that's very interesting, because you've taken a lot of hours, like it's real shit on your calendar, right?
Yeah. And it felt like
on your calendar. Yeah.
It felt very like, oh, I can't do that. Or like, that's like an hour, like a week. Oh, like I felt so intimidated by that. And now it's like, when I feel like I need it again, it's like, oh, cancel everything. Like, I'm going to make time for that. So it's just my observation. And again, I'm not trying to like be salesy or, everyone has different experiences, but I find kind of, it just, my head's just a lot more clear, and things go smoother for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
No, that's actually encouraging, and probably not what I need to hear, but like the honesty of it. Like, get your shit together, Les, and just do it.
Say yes.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yeah. Say yes. Say yes to the coaching.
Which is saying yes to you.
Right.
It really is about saying yes to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of why it's so uncomfortable for so many people, because we're just not often.
And it gets easier. Like, you can still have like a career and a family and things. Like, for me, like 2 years ago, saying yes to myself was like, okay, I can handle going to therapy 3 times a week, or I can handle going to coaching twice a week, or whatever. Like that. Now it's like more where my head's in a space that more kind of looks like, yes, I can do that workout on my lunch break tomorrow. Or like, it just kind of, it'll change over time. Like right now it could be coaching or whatever it is, but you'll find other ways to hold that space for yourself kind of long term. And it can shift into kind of some more fun things from my point of view, because it's not fun having to face your shit.
Yeah.
It gets worse before it gets better. But that first step is very kind of empowering, I will say, especially for like women who are hustlers and just doing it all for everybody and just crushing life. And from the outside, like everyone's like, wow, she's crushing life. And you're just like, fuck, but I'm tired every day and I cry a lot. So I don't know if it's worth it.
So true. So true. And everybody, all of you on this call are, we're all ambitious women that happen to be present. And so it is, one of the things you just said that really struck me, that I don't know if I've ever thought a lot about, is that it does help you shift the whole priority of getting yourself what you need, so that later when it's not a coaching appointment, it's not like you go give that time to work then, so to speak. It's like, you're like, no, I mean, that's just going to be me time. And I'm going to do, not like it's necessarily a rigid hour in your calendar, but like it shifts your perspective of what is necessary for you to invest in yourself.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's investing, it's prioritizing ourselves. I say it that way a lot, but it's investing in myself. I invest in myself when I take a walk by myself or walk down to the beach or whatever, and a million other different things. And so I don't give up that time and go, oh, well, now I'm going to give that to somebody else. I keep it for myself. It kind of begins to be like the sacred ground of, in order to be my own hero, the hero of my own life, I have these certain, requirements, and they are non-negotiable, and part of it is time for me. And I mean, I'm saying that as a single person. I still need times of solitude where nobody needs my attention for work, no phones, no family, no friends, no nothing, and it's obviously a lot easier when you're single than when you've got kids at home like you do, Leslie. But I did it when I had kids at home too. It looks different phases of your life, but
yeah. It feels like intimidating to kind of make time for yourself. A kind of way to hack around that, if you feel like you have resources for this, is just start outsourcing things.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I've got family coming over this weekend, and I've got a cleaners coming on Saturday, so I can go work out. And I'm just like, that is so worth it. Like, you kind of find, or just be okay if your family comes over and the house is dirty too, if you don't want to, like, you just kind of find ways to just be like, okay with things.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah. What else? Anybody else? We're getting close to the hour. Anybody else have any thoughts, insight? You can disagree. It's okay.
I have some good motivation for your wannabe runners.
What is this about?
Okay.
I have a California daughter and a California grandson.
Okay.
As opposed to my Indiana grandson. Anyway,
What is going on?
They run marathons, but whenever they can grab a 5K, they do. So they grabbed a couple 5Ks here. One incentive, the biggest incentive for me to ever run, and if I'm running, stop and help me because I'm on fire or something. But they ran a 5K, I believe it's on 4th of July morning at Blue Mountain Winery. They ran through the winery. And at the end, they gave my daughter wine because my grandson's only 14. But they got wine glasses and they got wine. So
run for wine. I mean, that's a whole nother motivation, isn't it?
Brenda, you might get on board with running.
I could get on board with that. Yeah.
I could run through a winery.
How funny. I love that.
Oh, fun.
I'm sure that's what they do in Italy, right? Just run from vineyard to vineyard.
Every meal has wine in Italy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places.
I've not been, and it's one, I'm reading a book right now of, that's in Italy, and I'm just like jonesing to go to Italy because Italy and France are my two favorite everythings, cultures, foods, wines, places. But I've been to France a couple times. I want to go a million more, but I've never been to Italy, and so I really, really am jonesing to get there.
Well, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think travel is, for me, travel is a great self-care thing. Now, that's not true for everybody. For some people, traveling is too stressful and whatever. But
sometimes it's too stressful for me.
Yeah. It's pretty much even when I got delayed in the airport in my last trip and had to spend 12 hours in an airport, I just found my seat, I got my book, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to chill here like I was on the beach. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're a better traveler than I am.
Yeah. But
That's because it's been a couple weeks since she's told the story.
well, it was
a couple weeks ago. The tone was a little different.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, it took me a minute that day. I mean, this was like 5 days after I moved in. I was so tired. When my flight got delayed by 12 hours, I couldn't even think straight. Like, I was just like, I don't know what to do. Should I go home? Should I stay here? Should I have Eric take me to the airport? Should I have him come get, like, my brain was frazzled. And finally I was just like, okay, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need? I'm super exhausted for obvious reasons for moving and everything. So like, I wanted to sit and read on an airplane and then wind up at a rooftop party, but that's clearly not going to happen now. So how can I get the most of that still happening in my day, you know? And so I was just like, well, it's my thoughts that would make me think sitting at the airport is worse than, you know, whatever, sitting at home and reading a book or sitting in a lounge chair reading a book. So what if I tried to make that not quite so? It definitely helped. But it was
the chair itself. The seat that they allow that you have, that's the most difficult thing for me. I need one of those lounge chairs or those little chairs.
I did have to go find myself a place that,
I mean, that's the hardest part, is a chair.
Yeah, a chair.
that you can relax in, that you're not as stiff
in anything. He's 6'5".
So
he fits in nothing.
Nothing is to fit in anything. And then I have this other friend, she's like 4'8". She's too tiny to fit in anything. Her feet don't touch the floor in any chair, you know, so she has to travel with pillows. So I mean, even to a restaurant to put behind her so she can get far enough up her feet will touch the floor. But anyway, all of this to say, there's nothing more important than self-care. And, you know, it comes in all shapes and sizes. It can be taking 5 minutes. Today, I just took maybe 10 minutes and just kind of walked around my apartment complex. Well, I was just like, you know, felt just whatever. I needed to get out for a second, take a break. So I did that, you know, or it could be taking a trip to Italy, or it could be getting coaching, or it could be getting a housekeeper, or it could be anything. It could be all of the things. But it starts to change that pattern of putting ourselves last or second to last, and of all that self-criticism, because just like when you're going to show up and be good to somebody else, you have a friend who's been, you know, whatever, sick or suffering in some way, and you want to show up for them, you don't show up in criticism. So there's no way we can show up for ourselves in any sort of self-care way and be critical. They don't go together. We do it for other people all the time, but we don't do it for ourselves very often. So it's love and self-care and a glass of wine. Well, I'm on water right now, but that's because I didn't have time. I'm gonna go get a glass of wine. I will leave you all to your Wednesday night. Thank you for being with me. And we'll hopefully keep this momentum going with more people. It's so nice to have more people here with us live, and keep the conversations going with whoever. We do it some weeks with one person and me. So whoever's here, I'm happy. It's what I love to do. And I love being with you guys and that you spend your time with me. So thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Leslie. All right. Bye-bye.